Alright, what's up everybody? We got the first of many National Dex Monotype teams, and we're starting off basic with Mono Normal here. So I really think Mono Normal has a great place in the meta. It seems to have every tool that you could need. So the main bread and butter of this team is Mega Low Punny. A lot of games boil down to Mega Low Punny plus 5 sacks, and of course you get chip damage, you pivot here and there, but it's all supporting Mega Low Punny. That's how a lot of games go. Of course, some matchups, some Pokemon are going to be more favored. Ursa Luna is a big one, Didi's another big one, and Ditto's another big one. That can just end up steamrolling your opponent. But Mega Low Punny, most of the time, is going to be the steamroller. And then, of course, part of the bread and butter, Scrappy after you Mega Evolve. Very handy, makes matchup Mono Ghost that seems on paper like it could give you some trouble. Really a breeze. Something like Goldango, you're just gonna deal with no problem because you hit it super effectively instead of with an immunity. So, very basic set here. Fake Out, and this team is all about speed control. As you'll see, I pointed at the screen like you can see my hand. With the 405 speed stat, you're going to be outspeeding most things that aren't scarfed. Of course, there are a lot of megas in this tier. Some megas do reach a little bit higher than that, but you are going to be outspeeding most of the meta. And then to complement that, we do have I believe Fake Out is +3 priority, so you have a very fast speed control tool in Fake Out as well. Next, just basic stat Return. I'm running Return instead of Frustration. I don't want to set my happiness down to 0, and also I feel like a lot of Dittos would run the lowest possible happiness anyways, so why not? And then, of course, Close Combat. And then I've seen people run U-Turn. I've seen people run a couple different options, but I really like Encore, just to mess with some walls that maybe you want to set up. It's come in handy before. Next, we got Zoroark Kasui. Very good addition to this team. Mono fighting really can be a struggle if they get to control the base of the game. Just seeing this on team preview will make them question every single time they want to click a close combat. So it's just a nice thing to have for that reason. And then of course we have Indeedee as well, but I'll get into that later. And it's just a really strong special attacker too. The combination of Shadow Ball, Hyper Voice, Flamethrower, and then of course Trick for walls is just really good to hit a lot of things. You do struggle with hitting yourself actually if there's another Zoroark Kasui. The only thing you can hit it with is Flamethrower, which is kind of funny. But just a really good strong mon to have on the team. And I choose to run Choice Specs. You could run Choice Scarf, and you could also run Focus Blast here, but then you really wouldn't hit Zoroark Kasui, but not like that's a big problem anyways. But there is plenty of speed control. Everything else on this team is centered around speed control. I wanted a nice wall breaker, and it's already plenty fast. It hits 350, which is faster than a good chunk of the megas even. Ties with Mega Gallade, so it doesn't really have a problem in the speed department, so I think I'd rather go with the stronger attacks. Next we got Ditto, very basic, pretty much essential. I see people running mono normal teams without Ditto. I don't know what they're doing. Especially in National Dex, there are so many setup sweepers, especially with Z moves like Z's Celebrate and all that, getting Omni Boost and like Como-O. Just so many setup sweepers, and then like especially stuff like Volcarona on Mono Bug. If they set up anything, if they even Fiery Dance you once, and then you get to bring in Ditto, and get the boost, like being a +1 Volcarona with a Choice Scarf, you can just run through Mono Bug. There are a lot more examples like that, but also Megas, being able to just one specific example, the mono normal Ditto. I know it's confusing to say Ditto, but the mono normal versus mono normal matchup, you have to pretend that Mega Low Punny doesn't exist if your opponent has Ditto. That's how you play it. And then the moment that Mega Low Punny gets a kill, Ditto comes in, and there is nothing that can take close combats from a Choice Scarfed Mega Low Punny. Just clicking close combats. So yeah, Ditto is very valuable. Some matchups is better than others, but the lingering threat that it imposes just stops people from being able to set up willy-nilly, because it can just come in and copy your Omni Boost or copy your Mega, whatever. Very threatening mon. Next we have Porygon 2. This EV spread I just kind of made right now. I've been playing the team without it. I was just doing max special defense before, but I realized I want even numbers for the Eviolite, so I just made it the highest jump point in special defense and made sure it was even, and then just everything else in HP and defense. I really like Trace. I mean, this is just a Trick Room setter, and then Pivot. Ice Beam over Toxic all the way, I think. There are some times where I wish I had Toxic, but Ice Beam is just so good at hitting, flying, and ground. It's just so good at chipping things. And then Trace, I really like Trace over Download. Like, I could get an attack boost from Download, I don't care. I like the consistency of Trace, and I know it's like kind of random, but Mono Steel is a matchup that Mono Normal can struggle with. And it's just really nice to be able to switch into Heatran every single time because you copy the Flash Fire. So that's the main reason I have Trace, is just for Flash Fire Heatran. It is hilarious to wall out Heatrans, and then you're not going to be hitting it hard with Ice Beam, but you can break a balloon, you can break a potential sash. It's just really nice utility. And there are other abilities that really come in handy sometimes. I can't really think of them right now, but what's a good one? What's a good one that you see often? I don't know. Oh, Protean with whatchamajigger. What's its name? Meowscarada. That actually comes in handy a lot. I'll pivot into Meowscarada and it'll U-turn out, and then I get to Ice Beam and just hit the grass types with Stab Ice Beam. So that's just something that has come up fairly often. So yeah, I really like Trace. And then we're just going basic with the moves. Next we got Ursaluna. Ursaluna is like, if I had to point to two main threats on this team, I'd say it's Mega Lopunny, and then I almost want to say Mega Ursaluna, because that's pretty much what it is. That attack set is bonkers. So yeah, pretty standard. Min speed, Sword Stance, Facade, Crunch, Headlong Rush. You really need Crunch for the non-grounded ghost types. Like, of course, Goldanga with a balloon, but then there's also like Drift Bloom and other random threats that you just need to hit with Crunch, even though most of the time Facade will be stronger. Even against resisted hits, like Facade will just be stronger most of the time. And then, of course, Headlong Rush. Flame Orb Guts. Nothing crazy here, just really strong. Now here's the most unique part of the team, and this is pretty crazy. So it is Trick Room, but it is male indeed. For some reason, it doesn't say it anywhere in the Monotype like bans or anything, but it won't let you run Trick Room Expanding Force with female Indeedee, but it lets you do it with male Indeedee. Like, it'll stop you when you try and validate your team. I don't know why they don't state that anywhere, but they don't let you. But I think I'd run male Indeedee anyways with Trick Room, just because, like, it's not that strong, 105, but I think female is like 95, and you really need the firepower with this. Like, I wish I could run Life Orb, but I really want the Focus Sash. So male Indeedee has a really good speed tier. Outside of Trick Room, it outspeeds all the walls that you need. It outspeeds Corviknight uninvested, even with the min speed. So that's just a nice thing to have, while still being slower than every offensive threat. In most cases, you'll be faster than every offensive threat. And you get to choose when Trick Room goes up with this mon, so you're in the driver's seat, especially with the Focus Sash, allowing you to tank a hit and just control the pace of the game after that. And you get Expanding Force, a very strong nuke. It's only off of 105, but it is modest, or quiet, I guess. So this will nuke most teams, unless you're going up against Steel or something. You can't really deal with Steel too well. Like, Mystical Fire is pretty weak, 75 base power off of your 105. It's not the strongest, but it is nice to have. And then Dazzling Gleam to hit the darks. So if you think about the problem matchups that Normal could potentially have, there's an immunity with Ghost, and then 2 resistances with Steel and Rock. And Mega Lopunny hits all of those with its scrappy close combats and returns for Ghost if you don't want to do close combat. But so your defensive problems, Mega Lopunny patches up no problem. And then if you're thinking about bad defensive matchups, we only have one because we're mono normal, and that's fighting. And Indeedee really just takes care of mono fighting. There have been so many games where I've misplayed so poorly, and then just set up an Indeedee sweep, and it takes out everything. Indeedee is a great, and that's really why I have it on this team. Of course, it's, this team is kind of all about speed control, and that Psychic Surge preventing priority is really helpful, especially under Trick Room. I have won many games off of just denying their priority, and I get to control the pace of the game. That's kind of what this team is all about. If you'll notice, absolutely everything's about speed control. Blazing fast, gonna outspeed you, speed control, an accessory to speed control, as well as nuke, a little nuke. So yeah, it's really all about choosing, looking at their team and choosing how you want to approach it, and you know, you get to flip the script however you want. You look at their team and you react accordingly and choose how fast or slow you want to play the game. All right, so that was the team. Now let's get into a few examples of how this team works.
Okay, so loading into the first game, this game isn't really a standard game. I just wanted to show the power of this team. So I see his set because I lead Ditto. He's Nuzzle, Dual Screens, and Misty Explosion. So I know I want to go into Ursaluna. So I set up Trick Room, raw switch into Ursaluna because I know he's going to Nuzzle, or at least I had a good idea he was going to Nuzzle. Now Misty Explosion, coming off like a base 97 attack and only 100 base power move, really not going to do much to me. So I'm set up, completely set up here with Trick Room. Facade, Mega Gallade isn't going to live that. Nothing on his team is going to live this, even through screens. So that just shows the power of gaining knowledge on your opponent's set, because I saw his set. I knew his entire team would break down to Sword Stance, Guts boosted Ursaluna, even with screens, so I had nothing to fear. And now, as you'll see, he's trying to boost, he's trying to do whatever, but I'm just going to get the cycle going again of Guts boosted Ursaluna. Really doesn't care about his screens. So that was all thanks to Ditto. I knew exactly what he wanted to do, and I knew exactly how to beat it. So as we see, just Ursaluna completely cleaning up here. I think we see a forfeit here, but we had another turn, and we had 5 Pokemon left, even if Trick Room did run out. So a great sweep from Ursaluna. Alright, so getting into our next example, I want to show something that could be a problem matchup, Steel. And this one especially is kind of a problem because if you'll notice, it has a pretty heavy Trick Room focus. So normally with Steel, it would be really easy to just go Trick Room with Ursaluna and just plow through everything. But this one, we can't really do that because there are slower Pokemon in Stakataka and Melmetal. So, few turns, we lost a lot of health on our Porygon there. Not great. Porygon is pretty good in this matchup. So we bring Zoroark in here. Nothing resists Shadow Ball because he doesn't have a Bisharp on his team, so don't really have to worry about that. I get a nice little chunk on Melmetal. Unfortunately, we sack Porygon here. I don't know if that was the best play, because Porygon is useful, but we have other things that can help with this team. We don't necessarily need Porygon. It was so low health from Aegislash. So we take the Aegislash out. Nothing wants to switch into a close combat. Corviknight probably would have been 2-hit KO'd. I'm not sure. We go into Ditto here. It is going to be faster, so I opt not to go for the U-turn, and I go for the Roost instead, just kind of stalling, get a tiny bit of health back. And then we do see here, Indeedee is pretty much useless. It can't really do anything on this team, so I'm just going to sack it, get the Sash, so I do keep the actual sack. And then here, the Ditto is really good at beating the Heatran. We knew he was scarfed because of the Eruption, so I just get to let off an Eruption because he wasn't going to stay in and take an Earth Power. He did have Earth Power. So now I'm scared of the Earth Power. He does Eruption again, though. So that's fine. We didn't need Indeedee. Now I bring back Ditto. We're just going to skip this. He chooses to deplete his Eruption PP. If we, I deplete mine as well, but I'm Ditto. I have infinite PP. Doesn't matter. So now he has no Eruptions left. I switch out. Get the Ursaluna, Sword Stance, Burn, Guts boosted. He sets up the Trick Room for me. How nice. Ursaluna really doesn't care about Corviknight. It's hilarious if you get the Sword Stance up. I haven't done the calc, but maybe even Max would demolish it. Max defense. Very unfortunate, not crit, flinch there. It's fine. We have plenty of stuff to deal with it. Just, it would have been a much more one-sided game if we had gotten flinch there, but it's fine. Sacks the Heatran. Now he's probably going to come in and set up that Trick Room again. We almost 2-hit KO this. I'm going to switch to Ditto. My thought process here is to reverse the Trick Room and also just kind of see what he is. But we don't really need to reverse the Trick Room now. We can just kind of, he got rid of himself, so we can just kind of use this to burn a Trick Room turn or two. We do get flinched again, doesn't really matter. It's just going to explode anyways and just get some chip. Probably was better. Yeah, it was probably better because I wouldn't want to have exploded there anyways, but that was his only attack move, I think. So yeah, we just close combat and get the win there. All 6 Pokemon fulfilled their roles, so that made it pretty much a breeze to get through this Mono Steel team. So coming into this game, just gonna show off a great example of how to deal with mono fighting. So Porygon wasn't gonna do much this game. I figured it could take a hit from something and get Trick Room off. We get a nice little freeze here. It doesn't really matter. It just saves us a sack, really, because I was fine letting him go down anyways and just getting some chip, breaking a potential sash. So yeah, that was fine. The freeze really doesn't matter too much. So now I'm going to get DD in, throw off an Expanding Force. I get one more Expanding Force. Don't quite take out the Gallade. I really want to preserve my Indeedee, so I do switch out to Porygon 2. That was the sack that we had from earlier. So that was where the freeze came in handy. I got a little free sack there. So now, this is pretty obviously Zoroark. Everything's going to be pretty physically bulky on this team, so I wanted to bait in a physically bulky thing. And I do exactly that. Now I go to Ursaluna, figure I could tank a hit. It's not going to throw a fighting type move at me because it knows I'm Zoroark Usui at that point. I'm pretty sure I can take this. I'm fairly confident I can take this and just get off a nice Facade and chunk it down to very low health. I don't really need my Ursaluna too much in this game. The Trick Room Sweeper is going to be in DD. So Ursaluna goes down. I get to copy an Omni Boost, just like I said in the rundown. I was pretty confident this was bulletproof and not soundproof. However, I wasn't even thinking about the fairy type. Its other move was a fighting type move. I think it was Drain Punch. But luckily he didn't switch into my dragon type move with his Iron Valiant. I sack Zoroark there. It is the least useful member of my team. It still would have been great, but least useful. And just getting a nice switch in with the Ditto to copy that is going to be great for this team. We do find out that this is Scarf though, so that kind of stops that sweep. But doesn't really matter. I don't think a Dire Claw will kill my Indeedee. It is max HP, so I get to set up a free Trick Room. Drain Punch isn't going to kill me, and then I get to take out the Iron Hand. Then Expanding Force, and pretty much I have 3 turns of Trick Room, and everything is going down to an Expanding Force at this point. Yeah. I think we see a forfeit here, but that just shows how strong Indeedee is against mono fighting. Alright, thanks for watching, and let me know if you want to see more. I'm going to do it regardless of your opinion, so nice things only, but I'm going to do every type in Monotype National Dex as of right now. We'll take it from there, see what happens after that.